Or like Mitchell, or you can be like Reynolds and Skiffle. Give it a Johnston and you'll get triple. Pass it to Cleary, you know he'll run the pitch. Score points like Chaboyevich, I'm game day fit, no need a switch. Cooking up like Quickie Man's in the kitchen. Who's that on the wing? It's Sivo. Score, try and do the Guffrino. Don't get too rowdy or too keen or you'll end up like Hassan Tino. Get a 40-20 like BCE. Run the ball like hectic cheese. Support runner, that's Pappenhausen, but I still got Teddy at the SCG.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Final Siren podcast. So happy to be back here today. Faraz is with us. Davos is with us again. Obviously, sadly, Davos, you couldn't make it yesterday, but so happy to have you back today, mate.
Yeah, it's good to be back, mate. Obviously, yes, I just had a few school commitments. Obviously, being in year 12, it's a big year for me. So, yeah, sometimes I won't be available, but more often than not, I'll be available. So, yeah, good to be back.
Yeah. Well said. Now, first off, we'll just quickly address the elephant in the room. Obviously, Lachlan isn't here tonight. He was on yesterday. He said he might be on. He won't be on today, tonight. But that's okay. We'll move through without him. I'll try and see if I can get him to send through his ladder prediction, and if so, I'll read it once we've all done ours. So how it's going to go is we're going to go 17th through to first position. So from the Spooners to the minor premiers. It's going to go in the order of Davos, Fraz, and then myself. And what's going to happen is, for instance, Davos will read out his 17th, Faraz will read out his 17th, I'll read out my 17th, and so on all the way to the minor premiers. At the end, we will do a combined ladder prediction if we think that we have the time on a tier list ranker. And then, but before the tier list, we might read out Lachlan's if he's sent it in time. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to tonight's podcast and seeing where all of you boys have those rankings. So, we'll first off start with 17th position. Davos, you'll start us off tonight. Who do you have in the 17th position? Wooden Spooners.
Yep, so this was probably one of the easiest choices for me. I've got the Dragons coming in last as the Wooden Spooners. I just think, Ben Hunt is really the only bright spot in that team besides a couple of others like Saw and Laurie. And there's just been too much off-field drama for me, such as, Amon going to jail, Cody Ramsey with his horrific injury. Hopefully he comes back soon for the Dragons. But I just think they're too young and too inexperienced and just got a few players that just plug in and play positions even though they're not that great. So, yeah, I can't really see any other team but the Dragons winning it.
Yeah. I guess we'll see when it gets to me if I agree with that or not. Faraz, who's your Spooners?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Davos here. I've got the St. George Illawarra Dragons with a wooden spoon for the first time in their history. Look, for me, the Dragons, they haven't really signed anyone in the off season. I think they've already got Jacob Little and Zane Musgrove. With all due respect, both average players at best. For me, the Dragons as well is that their off-field issues just struggle as well. Like, they don't really have a talented roster, so that also adds in with the off-field drama and incidents. But Talon going to jail, I don't know what the heart situation is. The Dragons, for me, they simply refuse to go into a rebuild. And for me, honestly, if Ben Hunt wasn't there, I'd 100% be confident with this. Not that I'm already ain't, but yeah, look, the Dragons won't go far for me 2023.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption. Although, I'm going to quickly go on and say this. I do think the Dragons will be the Spooners, but I actually reckon they can. I reckon they could finish anywhere from 17th, probably up to about 10th. And I know that seems extreme considering the teams that are in and about near that area. But, yeah, it's just one of those things where I could honestly see them placing there. Sorry, usually the pictures are meant to show up on the screen. I was just a bit distracted there, trying to get out on Instagram, telling everyone we're live. But, yeah, so in last place, we all had the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Moving on to 16th, Davos, who do you have as the runners-up for the Spoon?
Yep, so I've actually got the New Zealand Warriors in 16th place. I'll tell you my reasoning why. I get they're back in New Zealand, and I get they signed some really good forwards such as Nick Corey. They got some good backs coming back. They got CNK, they got Tamari Martin. But the issue I have is Tamari Martin has not played six for since probably before his brain bleed. CNK is coming back to a new system. Oh, sorry, not a new system. He's coming back, but who knows how good he will be considering he's been injury prone when he was at the Raiders. You've got a new coach. Who knows how well they'll gel, even though I think Andrew Webster is a terrific coach. I don't know how well they'll gel. And plus, it takes time for new recruits. Like we've seen this in the past with the Warriors. They sign these good forwards, they sign these really good players, and they don't live up to their expectations. So I think, although I believe the Warriors can come around maybe 9th to 16th, I just don't see them going much further than where I placed them, to be honest. So, yeah, that's why I've got the Warriors pinned at 16th, but I do understand why people would probably disagree with me.
And I think I'll be one of those people. We'll touch up on Faraz. So, Faraz, what did you think?
Well, it's funny Dable says that. I actually agree with a lot of stuff he says, but for me, I don't have the Warriors 16. I've got the Redcliffe Dolphins. I think the new kids on the block. For me, the Dolphins, I think with time, they'll gradually get better, and they don't have really a bad squad as everyone thinks they have. But for me, they're coming to a competition where, like, you got your Manly, you got your Knights, Tigers, Warriors, Titans, all striving to improve. And for me, they probably come out the worst side because a lot of teams are competing from 8 to possibly 13, 14. And for me, the Dolphins don't really have any marquee plays. Hammer's a good player, but Milford's struggled in the past. Sean O'Sullivan's going to a new club. For me, the only reason why they're missing out on the Wooden Spoon is because I believe they have enough talent to beat the Dragons, and they won't benefactor purely. But I reckon Dolphins could push up to 13, but nothing higher. They've still got a lot to do.
Okay, yeah. So Faraz has the Dolphins in 16th position. And as for me, it's actually not even going to be a change in image. I have the Redcliffe Dolphins as well, finishing 16th. From what I've seen in the trials, they ended up drawing with the North Queensland Cowboys, who were playing pretty much their C side, and the Dolphins were pretty much had I think they had 5 or 6, maybe 7 people who are going to be in the starting team. So yeah, for me that wasn't promising signs. I know it's just a trial, but when you have your best players playing, you can't be losing to an NRL team's C side. But yeah, so for me, Dolphins 16th, and for me it wasn't even close. Davos, what about 15th? Who do you have there?
I've got the Redcliffe Dolphins in 15th. The reason I have them ahead of the Warriors is because I feel like some of the players that they've got a lot of experience in the forward pack. Like they got Kafusi, the Bromwich brothers, Tommy Gilbert's starting to come along. And they've actually got some really good young talent. Like they've got Hammer, they've got Tessie New, and they've got the super coach in Wayne Bennett, which is why, he's one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coaches of all time. So that's why I have them ahead of the Warriors. Look, I don't think the Redcliffe Dolphins will do well in their first season, but I don't have them in the bottom 2.
That's fair. Faraz, what about you? Who's in 15th?
I've got the Newcastle Knights for me. And this is sort of an interesting one for me because on paper, I've told you boys this off the screen, but I reckon on paper, Newcastle should be at least top 8 and should be fighting for them. But I just don't trust them, boys. Their home record last year was appalling. The defense is appalling. The decision to let Ponga go to 5'8", I think it's going to ruin and destruct the attack. I don't know what's the point of signing Gamble then in that point, but for me, Newcastle, look, on paper, they should be doing much better than where I have them, but I just simply don't trust them, and their home record is appalling. And the teams above them should get better, even though the reason for me is that why Newcastle is not coming last and ahead of the Dolphins is because it's purely based on the talent they have and Jackson Hastings. If Hastings wasn't to sign there, I reckon Newcastle in all sorts and probably get a spoon.
Yeah, that's a fair enough assumption. So you have Knights 15th. Okay. The Knights are 15th for Faraz. For me, I think Faraz might pull me up on this one. But for me, in 15th spot, I've got the Manly Sea Eagles. Even if Turbo is fit and healthy, last year.
Turbo?
Yeah, I mean, last year we saw.
You got, mate. You got.
Yeah, we saw last year they had Turbo against the Broncos in Magic Round, got flogged 38-0. Even before that, he was in there for 11 or 12 rounds, and they were they were close to the bottom as well. They weren't really winning much games with him.
Can I just say, finally someone said that. That's a really good point, but I just don't think Manly are going to be that low. For me, they were sort of competing for the top 8 until the drama happened with the gay pride tag and stuff. But yeah, but fair enough. Manly can still struggle with that Turbo, and he has proven his history with injuries. But just don't think they're going to come that low. But that's just me.
I reckon they could, but for me, Turbo also has to prove to me that he's not going to get injured again after 2 games.
But if Turbo was to play a full season, would you have Manly 15 still?
Probably not. But I don't think they're making the 8 even if Turbo stays fit the whole season.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
Highest I've got them finishing is probably like 11th if he stays fit the whole season.
Ooh.
But yeah, that's about enough I have to say on that subject. I don't really rate Manly's chances this year. I don't think it's their year. But Davos, move us on to 14th.
Yeah, well, Fraz might pull me up, but I've actually got Manly at 14th.
Wow, boys.
Look, it's not because, if Turbo was to play a full season, I would probably have them higher. But we also have to understand that Tom Trbojevic did play around 12 games last year, and Manly was still shit. Like, they got smashed by the Broncos. They got smashed in other games.
Nearly lost to the Bulldogs, don't forget that, with Wake in the
Exactly. And, think about it as well. They have to blood a new 6 Josh Schuster. Who knows whether his move from the second row to 5'8" will work, and what happens if it doesn't? And their backline with some young guns like Tui Pilotu and Kola. Look, who knows if they're going to improve or whether they're going to have second year syndromes. Look, Jake Trbojevic is getting on in age. DCE is still a fantastic player, but he's getting on in age as well, and he can't carry a team by himself. So I just think that's the reason I have Manly at 14, simply because I don't know whether.
If you boys don't mind me pulling this before I say who I think is going to come 14, with Manly, right? 2016 they missed finals, 2017 they made finals, 2018 they missed finals, 2019 they made finals, 2020 they missed, 2021 they made it, 2022 they missed. So they've got that inconsistency. So you can't really trust what they're going to do. So judging by the panel, they should make that this year, but there's just so many teams out there now.
Yeah, like we've discussed a few times. I reckon there's going to be from 7th to 14th. I reckon that's going to be so tight. I reckon the teams in that bracket are going to be fighting it out for top 8 this year. So, but yeah, that's a good point you make there, Davo. So I agree with that. Faraz, who's your 14th?
I just want to say, Jackson, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but I've got the West Tigers 14th. And for me, look, this is going to be really low on the ladder, but I think the Tigers have enough talent in them to improve. I think Appy's going to be a huge signing for them and Papali'i, but I still don't trust the Tigers. Their backline is absolutely horrendous. Dan Laurie went backwards last season. Their halves don't impress me at all. Dewey just thinks he's the king right there. And I just think letting Hastings go puts a lot of pressure back on Luke Brooks to be the man. So, look, the Tigers for me can still notch a few wins to avoid bottom 4 maybe. But I just don't trust the back line. Their forward pack is great, but what's the use of having a good forward pack if you don't have good halves? We've seen that with the Broncos and whatnot. So, yeah, but I think the Tigers can avoid the spoon for sure.
Okay. For us, going with the Tigers at 14th, I'll disagree with that personally. But my 14th place, that's a bit harsh. Okay, it's a bit harsh, but the Raiders. Hear me out. I'm sorry, but hear me out. You've got the Raiders, the Knights, the Titans, the Bulldogs, the Tigers, and the Warriors. The Broncos, the Eels, they're all going to be fighting for that top 8 spot, in my opinion. All of them. So, for me, the Raiders are just the unlucky team to miss out. To claim that last bottom 4 spot.
Oh, that is in the works.
Look, I agree with what Noah was saying in one part where a lot of teams were competing, but the Raiders, they always get slept on and they always just keep proving people wrong. Like, people have them bottom 4, they say they're not good enough, but they've made the finals nearly every season. They just made a grand final 3 years ago. They made the finals right after. They made it to a semi-final. This year they made it. So, they always get slept on.
I just think this year isn't the Raiders' year. I could have easily, I'll explain it more in detail probably after we've announced the full team list. But there's so many more teams I could have put up.
Right.
For me, the Raiders can finish anywhere from 7th to 14th.
That's true. Glad you said that.
Yeah. So Raiders fans, don't have your head down. You can finish anywhere this season, and I hope you finish higher. But that's just where I have them.
Yeah, I love the Raiders.
I can get why people would be pissed off with that one though. Davos, 13th place. Let's hear it.
I've got the West Tigers coming in at 13th place. Look, I think they've made some very good signings in Papali'i, Uppy. It's good to see Tim Sheen's back. I think he's a terrific coach. But for me, like what Faraz said, their backline is absolutely horrendous. Dane Laurie needs to step up his game this year. I feel like he will. I really rate Dane Laurie. Look, the halves, we all know how much pressure Luke Brooks is under to perform. And, Adam Dewey, look, he's a good player, but he talks himself up like he's bloody the next Darren Lockyer. But, they've made some very good signings in the forward pack, Bateman and Clemmer as well. But like Faraz said, there's no point having a good forward pack if your halves aren't going to play off the back of it. So that's the reason I've got the Tigers at 13th. But I definitely think they will improve.
Yeah. Fair assumption. Faraz, 13th place. Who you got just avoiding the bottom four?
I've got this. I've got the teams like second favorite team. I've got the Warriors. This is such a tough one because once again, the Warriors on their day can cause a lot of upsets, but also on their day they can take 20-point leads. They can lose like winnable games. They've lost easy games that they should have won. But for me, why the Warriors would go up higher is because they're simply back at home. And I'm not saying it's going to be a fortress for them, but signings of like Charlie McCloskey, Tamari Martin, I think they'll improve their back line. But Sean Johnson's still getting older. He was a flop last season. Their forward pack is great. So they still have a lot of points in them, but their defense is horrendous and you can't trust them on a week-to-week basis. But I reckon they have enough talent and wins to get to 13th. But yeah, still, I still would call it as a pass mark for the Warriors.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption. For me, 13th place. It's a bit of a rough one. Knights here.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Knights are one of those teams, man. I can't place my finger on where they're going to finish. I think they could finish anywhere from the spoon to like ninth position. I just think I'm not sure. I've got Knights just sort of in the middle.
Or comes on how Ponga goes at 6, to be honest.
It's very dependent on how Ponga plays there. It's also dependent on how many head knocks Ponga has this season. So,
but honestly, I'll speak as a Queenslander. I want him to go well because he kills it for Queensland every time he steps up and into side. I'm pretty sure you boys can agree. He's phenomenal at origin level.
Oh, he's terrific.
So, yeah, for me, the Knights finishing 13th. Davos, who have you got finishing in 12th position?
Yeah, I've got the Gold Coast Titans finishing in 12th. I think they've made some good signings in Sam Verrills and Kieran Foran. But I just feel like the Titans are just so like on and off. Like their backline is extremely young. You've got some good players. Like you've got Jojo Fafita, you've got Jaden Campbell, you've got Brimson. But then like again, their spine, I don't know how well it's going to click. With Brimson moving from 5'8" to fullback all the time. Tanner Boyd, I really rate Tanner Boyd as you guys know. I think he's a terrific player. Foran, he'll provide that calm experience, but it just depends on how their forward pack plays. Like I know they've got a terrific forward pack, but they weren't that great last year. Fafita, who knows if he's going to live up to his price tag anytime soon. Isaac Liu, can he get back to form after his horrific 2022? But yeah, I don't know. The Titans, they have the talent to make the 8, but I just don't think they're there yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Faraz, what about you? Who's your 12th position?
Well, I'm with the Titans as well. I'm with Davos. I think Gold Coast for me. Look, it's funny I'm saying this. I think they'll have a much better year. They'll improve, but it's funny I'm even saying that because they finished 13th last year. They're only moving up 1 point on the ladder, but there's just so many teams around them that should be better than them. For me, the Titans, they're on their day, they're a fun team to watch and attack. AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell. You add 4 into that halves pairing now with Tanner Boyd to improve. I think Verrills is a huge signing at number 9. He will add a lot to the ruck, especially defensively. But for me, the Titans' defense is absolutely a shambles, and they can leak 30, 40 points a game. It doesn't matter if they lead by 20. They can still leak 30, 40 points a game. As we've seen, they've choked many games in the bag. But for me, the Titans have enough points to score up to 12th position. But like David said, I'm not sure about how the backline is going to work. So they might have to do a bit of chopping and changing, but they've got a lot of talent there. But if Fafita can fire, Gold Coast aren't any easy beaters this year, but still a struggle for me defensively.
Yeah. For me, it's Gold Coast Titans as well. I think this is the only second one we've all agreed with. Titans 12th. Titans are another one of those teams, man. Same with Knights, except I don't think Titans can really get the spoon this year. I think they could finish anywhere between...
I actually think it's crazy if people think they're spoon favourites.
I reckon they could make the 8 if they play to their potential, and I reckon they could fall as low as probably only 14th. I don't think they'll go anywhere near the Spoon.
What's the pass mark for the Titans this year? Would you say it's avoiding bottom 4?
No, I think
it should be 8.
Competing with the 8 is their pass mark.
Considering they made it 2 years ago recently, and they're supposed to go into that next direction.
It should be anywhere from 7th to 10th as a pass mark for the Titans. So, yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know. Titans could be in for a good year. Unlike some content creators on here, we're not biased. So, just because I don't like the Titans very much doesn't mean I'm going to say they're going to finish with the Spoon. And honestly, like I said before, they could be higher for me. They could be.
I hope they got it right, to be honest. I hope they got it right for Queensland's sake as well.
Yeah. I don't mind the Titans now.
They've got some exciting prospects. David Fina, Bo Former, AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell. They've got the whole lot there. They've got a team to work with, unlike other Gold Coast teams I've seen in previous past. Then you get Verrills there for it. They're going into the right direction, but can they perform like it though?
Yeah, definitely. Davos, 11th spot, mate. Who have you got there?
I have got the Newcastle Knights in 11th spot. The reason I've got the Knights here is because I think they've made some terrific signings. They made Lachlan Miller, who I think is a very, very underrated signing. I think he's terrific. As Noah, you probably know how well he played in his debut game against the Titans. And they've made some good signings like Adam Elliott, Jack Hetherington. They've got some good talent there. But the issue that I have is that will Ponga's move to 5'8" come off? That's one of the only few issues I have. Will Lachlan Miller fire at fullback? Will their backline like Gagai had a horrible 2022. Will he step up his game? Will Greg Marju fire on the wing? There's a lot of questions around the Knights, but I don't have them in my bottom 4 for that reason. And if they can get it right with Ponga, and if he plays well at 6, I reckon they'll make the 8.
Yeah, and it's a fair assumption to say that. So I agree. I think I reckon they could be one of those teams. I think I had them at 13th, but like I said, they could make the 8. They could finish up near the Spoon. I think Faraz, you had them at like 15th or something, didn't you?
Oh yeah, 15th. But they can finish so much higher with their team.
Yeah. Now Faraz, who's your team in 11th?
I've got the Manly Warriors Seagulls, boys. For me, even with Tommy Tomer back, this side was still they won't struggle. They'll still be more competitive, but there's just so many teams out there. And a lot of people say, Tommy Tomer's back, Manly easy top 8. I'm sorry to tell you this, but 2021 was just such a one-sided affair. Even you got teams in 7th and 8th that had a win record of 10 wins and 12 losses. Isn't that year anymore. You've got Broncos and Bulldogs. They could be much better in 2021 respectively. Raiders will be around there. Titans could match up on their best days. They beat the Manly Warriors Seagulls as well. For me, Manly, they could easily be top 8 if Turbo stays fit. They could be around 8 to 7, but nothing higher. But I don't trust them, and there's just too many other teams. And Manly can't really beat some of the top tier sides. So look, Manly 11th, but they could easily be from 7 to 12, but could be lower if Turbo goes down. And it's already been proven, but yeah, Manly, I sort of don't know. Josh Schuster at 6 will take some time. DCE has a lot of pressure. Forward pack 6, except for Turbo, you'd say, but yeah.
Yeah. That's a fair assumption. That's why I've got them finishing lower, I think.
I just
not really
Manly,
too fussed
I
on
feel
this
like
year.
everyone just talks about 2021. They forgot about what happened in 2022. They were slow starters last year.
Yeah. For me, in 11th spot, some people might be a bit surprised about this. I've got the Bulldogs.
No, that's fair.
Not really too sort of swayed by the Bulldogs hype train this year. I think it's happened the last few years where people said the Doggies are going to improve. I reckon 2024 they'll have a chance. They're signing some good players. I just think they're a bit too overhyped. I think they'll be competing for the 8, but some people are saying, "Oh yeah, they can possibly compete for
top
4.
4.
They'll be top 6." No. No. The Doggies won't do that.
I'm not going to point this at anyone, but someone had the Bulldogs over the Storm. I think he knows who he is. But
yeah, we know who that is.
Love you, man. But yeah, I had to just.
I know Davos isn't going to agree with this, but for me, the Bulldogs won't make the 8 until they get a genuine halfback. And I'm sorry, Davos, I know you love Cole Flanagan, but And I do think I like him as a player, but I just don't think he's the right player.
The thing is, boys, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me. Flanagan's not a bad player. We saw what he did at the Roosters, but he's in the next level type of player. Like, if imagine you get for example, like you get a Mitchell Moses or Jackson Hastings at the Bulldogs compared to Flanagan. Flanagan is probably what Newcastle would need. And look, I'm not going to lash. The difference with Flanagan and Brooks is that Flanagan has played finals footy. He's talented, but in a Bulldog side that's supposed to be improving a jelly maker, I just think Flanagan's the next man up. But he isn't the worst.
Yeah. It really just comes down to that. Davos, who is in your 10th position?
Yeah, I've got the Bulldogs in 10th. Yeah, I think they've made some terrific signings, not only for now but the future. I don't even know if they have a bloody salary cap at this point, but
yeah.
They've made some terrific signings, they've made Crichton for next year. They've got, who else have they signed? Reid Marnie, Kickow. Yeah, they've made some good signings, but the issue that I have is I think the Bulldogs will still leak points defensively. And so you can have all the attacking flair in the world, but if you can't defend, then what's the point? I reckon the big thing here is that Kyle Flanagan will need to take the next step. This is his last chance in the NRL, in my opinion. As much as I love the bloke, he needs to take that next step in order for the Dogs to become a top 8. He looked good in that trial match against the Raiders. He looked very, very good. He needs to continue to build his combinations with Birdo and Hayes Perham at fullback. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I would have personally had Jake Averillo there, but it is what it is. But yeah.
I'm not sure why Averillo hasn't got the foot. I think he earned it after the
Averillo was cracking last season, right? With attacking Ruben that game against Parramatta.
He played really well.
Ever since he came to that fullback role under Mick Potter, they started scoring much more points. And he's not necessarily proven, but he's had some games there now under his belt. But yeah.
And I think we'd all agree that I reckon the NRL is much more entertaining when not only is it a close fight for the top 8, but also I love it when the Dogs are doing well. Some of my favorite football memories are when the Bulldogs are firing and the Broncos are firing. Back in 2015, 2014, those were the good ones.
And now you've got 2021 Broncos versus Bulldogs, 24-0, 2020, those type of matches now. But yeah, both sides on the up. Both sides on the up for sure.
For us, who's in your 10th spot?
I'm agreeing with that. I've got the Doggies in 10th. And look, last year you boys knew I was never on the Dogs hype train. For me, they signed 5-6 players, but for me, they didn't really sign anyone effectively. Adekar was a standout signing for sure, but he's a winger. A winger's not going to change everything. But with the Bulldogs this year, though, I will say they signed the right players this time. They signed Marnie, an experienced number 9 that should be playing Origin, but is behind Harry Grant. But then you've got William and Kickout. You've got an edge of William and Kickout and Adekar. If Reid Marnie can continue passing those services across the line, gee whiz, the Bulldogs have a lot of flair in attacking them. They still got to work defensively, but for me, even when they're struggling, for me, defensively is when they started getting stronger. They can now start building combinations and start scoring points, but they still need a genuine number 7. Flanagan's not bad, but they still need someone genuine at number 7. The center pairing suck for me, honestly. I think Schropp's a big loss. Matt Burton's going to have a fantastic year, but Hayes Perham isn't a bad player, but we still haven't seen him at number 1. And for everyone saying Bulldogs 24 have a chance, they do on paper, but I just want to see how they go in 2023. If they come lower than 11, there's worrying signs because that's a talented squad. They've built there. They can score points, but can they do consistently now?
Yeah, and that's a fair question to ask. I agree with that for us. Very well put. So you both had Bulldogs at 10th. I had them at 11th. So we've all got them missing just out on the 8. In 10th position for me, much higher than any of you guys had them, West Tigers.
I think you had them 9th. Oh, okay.
I did have them 9th. I've moved them aside. I think who I have in 9th now probably...
we all know that no one didn't want to upset Tigers fans having them there.
No, I don't want to upset Tigers fans, but don't want to put them... No, but honestly, I reckon they've got a good team. Yeah. Team in 9th, I reckon, actually is going to be such a smoky for the 8, and you guys won't agree with me, but I'm fine for that. So, yeah, for me, the Tigers, they'll come 10th. I really like the signings they've made. I reckon they can look at improving into the top 8 in more years to come. but I don't think this year will be their year. But hopefully for Tigers fans, I sort of hope it is because
When's it ever their year? No, I'm joking.
Davos, 9th. Who have you got in 9th?
I've got the Canberra Raiders at 9th.
Ooh, okay.
Look, I think that the teams around them have definitely improved much more than the Raiders have. But then people need to understand that when you've got a player of the likes of, Fogarty and White and two very experienced and two very good halves, there's no reason why the Raiders can't make.
Don't forget White, Daly on 2020.
I know, exactly. And their full pack is terrific. Hudson Young, Tarpany, Papali'i.
Far out.
Yeah, and also Zach Wolford's a good young player coming through. But like with a few injuries, who's going to play fullback with Xavier Savage out for 6 to 8 weeks? Is it Rapana? Is it young Hopawate? I really rate the Raiders centers, Sebastian Chris, Harley Smith-Shields, and Tomoko. They're all terrific, and
Jared Croker as well.
Jared Croker as well. I definitely could have easily put the Raiders in the top 8, but I think they just miss out.
Yeah. That's a fair assumption. Faraz, who have you got in 9th?
Well, I've actually just changed this last minute. This is going to shock you boys, but I've got the Broncos at 9th.
Oh.
Well, and hear me out. I definitely think Brisbane can make the 8.
What?
Look, I'm a Broncos fan, and I always have belief in my team. But for me, with the Broncos, it's not really about talent, boys, but it's the off-field drama for me, man. Like, there's so many issues going on at the club right now that can't be denied. Like, they've got a top 8 squad on paper. Some will even say top 6, but for me, they're still lacking a genuine number 9. We don't know how Reece Walsh is going to go, even though I think he'll have a better year. Because Tony Davis is so inconsistent. Reynolds gets injured a lot. Man, we still don't know how he's going to go in his second year. Like, for me, it just takes a lot of off-field dramas for this team to fall down. And we've seen, if the Broncos don't have something going their way, they completely capitulate. I wouldn't be surprised if they made the 8. Of course, I think they should be around 7 to 9. But for me, I just feel like they'll just miss out with all the off-field issues happening. For me, it's not really about the talent squad, but for me, it's about the off-field issues. And Kevin Waters is under a lot of pressure. Like, Cobb coming out with those comments. He's not the first player to do it. I believe in the team and Kevy, but just not liking what I'm seeing from off-field dramas. But I'm still going to remain optimistic and hopefully this jinx me. But Brisbane could easily be 6 to 9, something like that. But no.
I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
For me in 9th spot, I'm tossing up between 2 teams, boys. I'm gonna piss off someone either way. Okay, I've decided, and this is gonna be a fucking shock. Yeah. This is gonna be a shock for you boys. No, I'm joking. I
had a feeling you'd do that.
You got me there.
But the actual team, this will be a shock as well. 9th spot, Parramatta Eels.
Ooh. I don't blame you there.
Hear me out.
I don't have a problem with you doing that.
I think you'll see who I've made way for. But I just think that they're lacking a quality night. Hodgson, I know, again, it was just a trial, but he didn't look very comfortable. I think with Moses, with all the talking going on with Moses, I think he'll be more focused on trying to get money than he will playing for the Eels this season. I feel like they could be plagued a bit by injury. They don't seem to have wingers or centers set yet. Their forward pack is obviously still going to be good, but and 9th is probably a bit low for them. You could easily swap them. You could put them anywhere up from 6 to 9th for me, but that's what I've gone with, and you'll be very surprised to see my next pick. But Davos, who have you got at 8th?
I've got the Brisbane Broncos in 8th. I think this is the year that the Broncos take a step forward and make the 8. Look, I get they have their off-field dramas, but look, how good did Reece Walsh look the other night in a trial match? He was terrific. Like, he wanted the ball in his hands, and I feel like he'll take a lot of pressure off Mam and Reynolds. Look, I get the Broncos are lacking a genuine number 9, but think about it. You got young Corey Paix coming through. You got Blake Moser, who's going to be a terrific young player. The Broncos backline is one of the best backlines, I reckon, in the comp. So same with the 4-pack. The 4-pack's absolutely terrific. Carrigan, Haas, Kobe Hetherington, Capewell.
Apparently, someone thinks Capewell's overrated, but
Well, that's just BS. But yeah, the Broncos have absolutely no reason why they can't make the top 8, and I think this is the only thing I'm worried about. And I don't think that this will happen. I do not hope that. I hope Ezra Mam does not get second-year syndromes, but I doubt
for
he
me,
will.
for me, I think with you, Davos, with that point, I actually agree it could happen. But why I'm so confident it will happen is because he has Aaron Reynolds next to him.
Yeah. Faraz, 8th spot. Who have you got after you just left your team stranded at 9?
I've got the Canberra Raiders. I reckon.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fuck off.
What do you mean F off, man?
14th spot. No, I'm joking. Go ahead. Explain it to us.
Well, for me, the Raiders look on paper, like Davis just mentioned, they've got a really good forward pack. And they started becoming a much more leading side when Jamal Fogarty came back. And on their day, they've beaten some of the top tier sides. They've beaten the Roosters before. They've beaten the Storm and all that. They can take it to the top tier sides. For me, though, the Raiders, why I have them just on the 8 is because they're so inconsistent. They can beat the top tier sides, but they can also struggle against the lower tier sides. Remember, they nearly lost to the Dragons. They should have lost once. And they lost to them actually once as we speak. Nearly lost to Newcastle and whatnot. And so they've got that inconsistency, but their draw is fairly easy. They don't play a lot of the top 8 teams. They play the bottom teams twice, so I think that works in their favour. I think on their days, though, on paper, Broncos should be better, but Raiders with an easy draw. Their culture's really good. Rick Saw will find a way, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair. Now, before I say my 8th pick, I want to quickly point out, and this goes for all of us, boys, and people watching. These are not final predictions. We chop and change our predictions all throughout preseason.
What's
this is not the final ladder.
Watch me have Broncos at the 8 next time.
For me, 8th spot. This is the one I know you guys will gasp at. New Zealand Warriors. I am high on the New Zealand Warriors hype train this year. I am high on the hype train for New Zealand Warriors. They will be contending the 8, and I reckon they could beat Parramatta to the 8th spot. I love
no, I thought you were going to say they can compete for the premiership for one moment.
I did not expect that at all.
I was sure you boys would find that.
But what's the reason?
It's a bit of a shock.
Do you think it's sort of like because they're back at home, or this is the roster and the signings they've made? Like, what's led you to
for me, it's a range of things. Yes, they're back at home.
Right.
And look at this. The half is going to be Sean Johnson and Tamari Martin. If the way he was performing last year was just because he was homesick, and if he performs up to his potential again this year, he's going to be good. They've got young Luke Metcalf, who sadly got injured today at training, but he's going to be an absolute gun. They've got Chance Nickel-Cook started at fullback. They've got
Wayne Egan. For me, Wayne Egan's the big standout in that team, at number 9.
Egan as well. They've got a great forward pack. They got Bunty Afoa. They've got Anfanua Blake. They've got Mitch Barnett now. They've got Josh Curran.
They've signed
Dylan
Walker. They've got
I'm high on the.
See, the thing is, on paper they should be around there, but I just don't trust them. They've done it before. They haven't made finals for since 2018. They're at home. They just I agree with what you've just, but it's all about trust issues with the Warriors.
I agree. I agree with what you've said, and to be honest, I am shocked that you've put them there, but I can see why. But my issue with the Warriors is that their centers, their backline is a big weakness because Ilea, Cozzy are going to get exposed defensively.
Yeah, well, the reason that's why I said what I said just before I said it. That's why I said it's going to chop and change around because just 5 seconds before I made that decision, I had Eels 8th and Warriors 9th.
That's the same with Broncos. I had Broncos 7th, but yeah.
You had Broncos 7th and put them down to 9th, man. What?
Sorry.
You're crazy, bro. You're crazy. But yeah, so for me, that it's a bit of a shock, but I don't think there'll be too many more shocks here. Davos, who have you got in 7th place?
I've got Parramatta Eels in 7th place. Look, I think some of their signings that they have made, Murchie, I think Hodgson will be all right. I think he'll be a decent-looking signing, but he's getting on in age, and who knows whether he'll be the player that he was in 2019 and 2020. But I don't think their inclusions fully replicate their departures, such as Papali'i and who was the other one? Reid Marnie.
Reid Marnie, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think because if Hodgson gets injured, then you're gonna have to expose young hands to NRL, and I don't think he's NRL quality yet. But I think that onside they could easily be around fifth, but I just don't think that I think the Eels will drop, but will be a top eight side. I just think with Reid Marnie leaving, that was a big loss.
Do you think they're still contending for the premiership?
No, definitely not. Last year, in my opinion, was their last chance, and they blew it. So.
That was their last window, in my opinion as well. For us, who have you got in 7th place?
Well, see, the thing is, like, you guys can't really hate for me because it's such an open comp, but I've got the Cronulla Sharks.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
I think with the Sharks is that they should be getting better. Nico Hines just took, like, if he plays the way he did in that All-Stars game, I could see Sharks easy in the top 4 and all that. For me, they got to play consistently against the better sides. And for me as well, like, this was a major talking point last year with me and you. But I just feel with the teams around them, like, you still got your Roosters who are going to be much better than what they were if they stay healthy. Panthers will still be around. Rabbitohs with LaShawn Mitchell, we've seen what they do. Especially in that finals match against the Sharks, absolutely pumped them even with a 60% possession rate. Cowboys, of course, at home will be much more lethal. The Sharks should easily be much higher, but I just feel like they'll just drop a bit with the quality of other sides coming in. But Sharks have enough talent there to be around there. They're such consistent. But the things I have above them are just simply better, in my opinion. But once again, it could be 4 to 7, depending on how the Sharks go.
Yeah, I agree. And for me in 7th place, I'm going to go my team, the Brisbane Broncos. It's so hard to tell where the Broncos could finish. I reckon they could finish anywhere between 6th and honestly like 14th.
Honestly,
I'm not even joking. I reckon it depends how we go, man. If we play like we did at the end, if we play like we did at the end of last season, we're in for a bad year, and I'm hoping that we don't.
I'm not even gonna lie. I think we're the worst team in that period. It was the last 5-6 games.
I think we were as well.
We lost to the Tigers, we lost to the Dragons, but I think with the Broncos as well, like on their day, if they can, like, I think a big talking point is, and we're not going to blame injuries here. Of course, it's more than that, but Carrion coming back will help the side a lot in the middle, especially being an experienced head. We saw what he did. He's easily the next captain for me, and we've seen what he done as a voice in the group for Queensland as well. So for the Broncos, it's not about talent. It's just about if they can sort the off-field issues. On paper, they could even be, I'm not going to say they're going to be top 4, but they could be as high as 5th and all that. And they were there for 20 rounds. So they have shown what they can do, but it just takes one thing to destroy this club, and that's what worries me. They can't draft themselves. It's still a young squad. It's still a young squad at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Davos, 6th position. We're getting into top 6. Davos, who have you got there?
I've got the North Queensland Cowboys in 6th. Look, the reason I have them in 6th is because I think that a few teams have gotten better than them. Look, last year what they did was absolutely remarkable. Everyone had them for the spoon, and they came 3rd. And look, they've got an excellent back line, got an excellent forward pack. Look, there's not too many weaknesses in the Cowboys, but you know, some losses like Tom Gilbert. I know Hammer didn't play, but you know, he's still a quality player. You still lose him. It just depends on, you know, how they play together, whether last year was just a complete fluke, because we've seen teams do it in the past before. You know, they've come in the top 8 and they drop out.
And to add to that point as well, like you just mentioned it clearly, like 2017, the Cowboys, they made it to the grand final without Jonathan Wilson and Matthew Scott. Next year, they get them back. Everyone said they could be smoking for top 4, could be top 8 for sure. Missed out on the 8 together. So they've done it before, so wouldn't be surprised.
And to add to that as well, I just feel like, you know, during that Origin period, because I don't know if you've seen their draw, and I know that I don't really like the way that people say, like, you know, the teams have an easy draw and stuff, but they do have a pretty good schedule first up, but then their Origin period gets extremely difficult, so they could lose a lot of stars to Origin, you know, Holmes, Nanai, Dearden, all those players. So
I've also had a look at who they're playing on. They're going to play the Panthers and all that, the Dragons, and Dragons without Ben Hunt, we all know what they can do, and the Panthers will be out with half their squad. So the Cowboys don't really have a hard in that period.
Yeah. For us, who do you have finishing in 6th position?
Well, this is my most least like team, but I feel like people are just counting them way too early. I've got the Parramatta Eels. For me, the Eels, on paper, that could still be around top 4 maybe, but I just feel they're so inconsistent, right? They're losing they're losing Reid Marnie and Papali'i, and you can't tell me that they're not going to at least struggle at some point because you lost a genuine number 9, and Papali'i was instrumental in the forward pack. But you still look at that team, right? If we were to say Parramatta with, like, let's say we link them to Bulldogs and Broncos, yeah? You still look at that team. You still got Gutherson at fullback. Yes, he's the queen at finals footy, but during the regular season, his stats accumulate a lot in attack. He's instrumental. Then you got the wingers. You got Sevo and all that. Centers would you say it's a strong point? The centers, Will Penising is underrated for me. Their forward pack is great. They also can play red footy. You got Ryan Madison, Sean Lane took his game to a whole new level. Junior Paulo, they've still got the talent there. They've got and the halves, they're not losing anyone. Dylan Brown's still there. Mitchell Moses is still there. For me, Hodkinson, it all comes down to Hodkinson. Hodkinson could either be the biggest flop or he could be the biggest rise, in my opinion. For me, Parramatta have too much talent not to make the 8. They still got the same squad. They should struggle a fair bit because they're inconsistent. But for me, they'll still be in 6th position, still make the 8 comfortably, but they won't be contenders. I reckon they'll go out first week, but still have a lot of potential in that 4 pack. That 4 pack, every single one of them is a red player.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good forward pack. Obviously, you've got the likes of Junior Barlow, you've got Regan Campbell-Gillard, you've got Sean Lane, Ryan Madison is in there, and then they'll add Jermaine Hopgood, who played in the All-Stars match earlier this year. So it's a very good forward pack. I'm sort of questioning my decision of putting them at 9th now, but we're just going to roll on with it anyway. For me, in 6th position, this is another one which is probably like no surprise. Cronulla Sharks. I think quality team. I don't think they have it as easy this year. Last year, I think they got, even against some of the easier teams, like they play against the Titans and at one point only beat them by like 6 or something. So for me, Sharks, I reckon they'll drop a bit this year. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they go.
Got smacked by the Raiders twice, lost to the Broncos, so yeah. I know Raiders made the top 8, but yeah, at the time Sharks were like top 4.
Yeah. Now, 5th, Davos. Who have you got there?
I've got the Cronulla Sharks in 5th place.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think the Sharks had a great season last year, and I feel like they'll drop a little bit, but I still think they'll be a quality side. Nico Hines, what a season he had, a well-deserved Dally M medalist. Matt Moylan had a very good year. William Kennedy's so consistent. Brayley had a great year. Ronaldo, Mulatalo, Talakai, they all improved. The only issue that I have with the Sharks is their depth, because they lose Lockie Miller, who's a great backup and even a great starter.
Who's that that got injured? Who's
Dykes.
Cade Dykes.
I'm honestly worried. If Kennedy goes down, I'm worried for them. Who are they going to play there? That's my concern.
Well, Atkinson played well.
Right.
But even that, I feel like their depth is sort of a bit iffy.
Metcalf's a huge loss, to be honest.
Yeah, in the halves, it's a huge depth loss for the halves.
Exactly.
I think they have some all right depth in the backs. I mean, they've got Hiroti, they've got Iro.
Is Brandon Trindle still there?
Who was that?
Trindle, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Trindle's still there, so he's depth for the halves, which is all right. But I mean, you never know if Hines gets injured and then Moylan gets injured. Hopefully not. But then they've got to play probably like Wade Graham at 6 and Trindle at 7, which obviously you wouldn't want to be doing.
That's fair.
Yeah, so it's a toughie. Yeah. That's a good pick though by Davos. I agree with that. Sharks at 5th. Now, Faraz, who have you got at 5th?
I've got the Panthers. No, I'm joking. I've got the Melbourne Storm. Oh, this is so tough for me. Look, I know a lot of people love to bag the Storm and they love to shit on them, but for me, as a kid growing up, I hated the Storm for their success and all that. But for me, I've grown a soft spot for them. They are still grubs a fair bit, but for me, they're just such a good footy side. People need to respect their consistency, what they've done for the NRL. They've made 3-4 grand finals in the space of 5-6 years. They're so consistent. They find a way even when they get injured. But this year, I just feel like they're going to lose their touch again. They came 5th last year. For me, with Melbourne, they could easily be top 4, but with the news of Justin Leonard being ruled out, Ryan Pappenhausen being ruled out, like, their depth worries me because it's rare you see this with Melbourne. It's always the next man mentality up, but they're losing with Pappy already. That's going to hurt. They don't really have an easy start to the season. Olam's out as well. Their depth is a bit weak compared to other seasons. Look, if this wasn't happening with Pappy and Olam, I'd probably have Melbourne top 4, but too many injury concerns. I'm sorry, Dave Ross. I love your Storm, but I think they'll just miss on top 4, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're there. They always find a way.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all for putting Storm 5th. I was actually tossing up whether to put him 5th.
They were top 4 for me before the injuries happened.
No, I don't blame you at all.
And for me in 5th spot, Melbourne Storm. I feel like they could drop a bit this year. I've switched them all around quite a bit this season.
But I do not agree with people having them as low as 7th and 8th, putting them below the Broncos and Dogs. They still
I had them at 7th at one point. I'm not going to lie. I did.
Their spine is just way too instrumental, but their depth is worrying.
The only thing I think that saved me from putting them any lower than 5th was, there's quite a few things. They have the best 5'8" in the game.
Right.
At least a top 4 halfback in the game currently. The best the best hooker in the game as well, in my opinion, with Harry Grant. So
but they're losing one of the 4 pack. The depth that's where it gets.
They are, and that is one thing that is one of the reasons I have them dropping a bit. I switched them around so much this offseason. I had them 7th at first, then I moved them up to 6th. I've moved them up to 5th.
Yes,
they won't be going any higher for me. They're not going to be top 4 this season, in my opinion. But I respect anybody's opinion who says they will. So for me, but I reckon the Storm, they're just always a quality team. You always know what you're going to get from the Storm.
Honestly, and look, I've already told you boys, as long as Panthers wishes are win, I'm happy because I respect the Storm. They're just really a good franchise.
Davos, who have you got in 4th position, mate?
I've got the Melbourne Storm in 4th position. Look, I feel like we're going to bounce back this year after last year with all those horrific injuries. But the injuries are the only thing that's holding me back from putting the Storm high, to be quite honest. I mean, Pappenhausen's not going to be back for 6-8 rounds. Olam's going to be out for 6 weeks. It just worries me a little bit that we're picking up even Marion Seve. I know he's a good role player and a good depth player, but he can fill in. It's not good to see him out. Tarek Sims picked up a calf injury. Look, I just hope the injury bloody God doesn't come back to curse us again. But look, the depth in the 4 pack, I'm not too worried about because we've filled it with Tarek Sims, Eli Katoa. We've got some good young players coming through like Trent Loiero. We got Joe Chan. We got one of my favorite players at the Storm, Jack Howarth. I can't wait to see that bloke debut. But yeah, I'm not too worried about our depth in the 4 pack. For me, it's mainly just about the injuries. But I do understand why people do have some iffies about the Storm and their forward pack.
Yeah, that's fair. For us, who do you have at 4th spot?
I've got the Panthers now, once again joking. I've got the North Queensland Cowboys. For me, the Cowboys, and I've got a bold prediction for you boys, just to spice things up. I reckon the Cowboys are going to lose only 1 game at home this whole season. The Cowboys, for me, I can barely find any weaknesses in the team. Look, as a Broncos fan, I wish we would have that success, but you have to appreciate what Todd Payne has done for this team. They were easy pick to get the wooden spoon. I had them coming last. I ruled them out, down and out. Drinkwater, fullback, was an unproven part of their success. He was so underrated. The halves, Tom. This is what happens when you sign an experienced halfback. Not a lot of people were keen on it, but Chad Townsend unlocked the running game and did it. He put the pressure out of him and allowed him to be himself. Their forward pack is so strong. Jared Rodon is the future for sure. Cohen has to still be consistent. Jason Tumalo leading from the front. Their hooker is awesome. Reece Robson could be like a smoke for New South Wales this year. Look, there's barely any weakness for me. The only thing that I'm worried about the Cowboys is how they go overweight, over from the toilet township. But they still, with the Storm injuries and all that, I reckon the Cowboys would have enough in them to be top 4. They'll barely lose at home. But it's just a away record for me that gives me a bit of iffy and all that. But could easily come as high as 3rd or 2nd. Have a lot of. There's barely any weakness, boys. Tell me one weakness you can easily find in that team, honestly.
I can barely find a weakness.
They don't have
any weaknesses.
Very solid, 1 to 17.
Boys, also remember, Hayden Luke is coming back from an ACL. Watch out for him. They're just getting stacked and stacked.
I imagine he'll play the left second row spot with Nano on the right. For me, 4th position. I'm surprised no one said this yet, but I'm ready to hear it. Penrith.
Oh,
I know. Okay, you can say to me they have the best. They are the best halfback in the game, a top 3 fullback, arguably a top 2 fullback after last season, Dylan Edwards. One of the best forward packs in the game. I just think, I think something's going to happen to them this year. Something's telling me they're getting a bit cocky about where they've been finishing. Stephen Crichton's leaving at the end of the season. They just lost Kick Out and Coruscant, which I think will be very big on where they finish. It's gonna be tough for the Panthers, and if I have to have a bold prediction, I reckon they go out in straight sets maybe after maybe get knocked out second week of finals. I reckon they can lose. They lose to my minor premiers, I think, and then they'll possibly lose in second week of finals.
I agree with everything you've said, Noah, and as much as I'd love that to happen, I just can't see with your 4-pack and their halves with Luai and Cleary, Dylan Edwards. I just can't see that happening. But I do understand.
My main thing that I'm going off, and I think I've explained this a few times to different people. If you watch finals last year, Panthers versus Rabbitohs, watch the opening 20 minutes before Abby Coruscant came on, and then watch the rest of the 60 minutes.
That was the most unsettling I've seen Penrith.
Yeah, exactly. And they had Cleary, they had Luai, they had Edwards, and they were down 12.
Rabbitohs had like 3 players out. Havili was gone. I don't know who else. Alex Johnson was gone.
Yeah. So it's really tough on the Panthers, you might say, but I think they won't finish. Well, I think they'll just finish inside top 4 this season.
Would it surprise you if they come minor premiers though?
No, not really.
No,
it wouldn't surprise me. Like I don't think they can finish lower than 4th with the team they have, but I just don't think. If I'm the Panthers, I'm thinking about playing Sonny Luke at 9 and Kenny at 14 because I feel like Kenny played better off the bench last season.
I agree.
So that's my 4th pick down. We're up to the top 3. Davos, who's in 3rd place for you?
I've got Faraz's favourite team, South Sydney Rabbitohs, at number 3.
South Sydney,
absolutely.
Look, the reason I've got Souths at 3 is because I just think they're going to improve. I mean, Latrell Mitchell, when he came back, he was absolutely fantastic. Alex Johnson was absolutely terrific. Cody Walker got better as the season went on. Lockie Ilias definitely played well after that Dragons game, and he was terrific for his first year in first grade. Cook sort of dropped off, but, he's become a lot smarter now. Cameron Murray, we don't have to say much about him, absolute gun. Colin Matangi, he's only going to get better. Jai Arrow, absolute beast. I just can't see many weaknesses in the Souths. Maybe in their front rowers, but apart from that, I think they're going to be a very good team. But it all comes down to how well Lockie Ilias plays, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it, and very well explained, Douglas. So he has Rabbitohs in 3rd. Faraz, who do you have in 3rd place?
Boys, can I just know? I just made this change right now. I made this change right now. I had the Rabbitohs at 3rd, but I've got the Sydney Roosters at 3rd. And look, Roosters were originally my minor premiers, but for me, I think what's needed to be noted is that now that Connor Watson's gone for half the season, I honestly feel that Brandon Smith, he's a guy and a quality player, no doubt, but can he play for the full 80 minutes is my question. They're gonna have
That's exactly what I've been thinking.
Yeah, and that's also for me as well with the Roosters, their halves are still a bit slim. Like, they've got talent. Like, Sam Walker's the future, and no doubt. But Luke Keary's going to step down. His injuries probably rocked them a lot. And, the Roosters have just been suffering a lot of injuries lately. And look, Luke Keary's been proven time to premiership winner, but he doesn't have Cooper Point next to him. Sam Walker is still learning and graduating. Look, for me, I feel like with the Roosters, everyone's going to probably have the first and all that. They should be there, and they could be. It wouldn't surprise me, but the loss of Connor Watson can't be. If we're going to talk about Appy Coruscant, then Brandon Smith hasn't been proven yet as an 8-minute hooker, so that has to be taken into account, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And that's well put again. But 3rd place for me. I'm sorry, I've accidentally just deleted my 3rd place tab. Here it is now. 3rd place for me. I'm going to go the Rabbitohs, and I just think the Rabbitohs they're in for a good season, especially if Trelmit stays healthy for the whole season. If Latrell stays healthy for the whole season, I could see them getting up near the minor premiership? Maybe. They're definitely a quality team and good enough to do so. So for me, it's the Rabbitohs in that third position. Davos, second position. Who have you got?
I've got the Penrith Panthers in second position. The reason I've got Penrith in second position is because there's just like apart from their hooker, there's barely any weaknesses in that team. Like, we all doubted them when Burden left and Capewell left, but they just keep that Penrith junior system is just so bloody good. Like they just keep producing talent, and to be honest, I'm jealous of how good Penrith junior system is. Like it's just so good. Like Tuggo, Taylor May, and they just keep producing. And they got the best halfback in the game, Dylan Edwards. He's a top 5 fullback in my opinion. They're just such a quality team. And as much as I hate them, you gotta be realistic and you gotta say it how it is. They're just so good.
That's fair. For us, who's in your second place?
Oh, I'm so undecided, boys. I honestly don't know, but I'm going to go the Rabbitohs at second.
Sorry, Faraz, before you go on with what you want to say, I just want to quickly play this video.
Yes! Bye, everybody, shut up! Glory, South Sydney, marching on!
Go ahead, Faraz. Go ahead, Faraz. So South Sydney.
Well, the Rabbitohs for me, they're probably the biggest bolters from where they were on the ladder. They came 7th last year. For me, it all comes down to Latrell Mitchell. With Latrell Mitchell on that side, if he can play 18 to 20 games, this Rabbitohs side will be hard to stop. And there's barely anyone that can stop them, honestly. They've signed all the players. They've signed Cody Walker together with Damien Cook. They kept their young talent. Ilias stepped up in the second half when needed to. Their forward pack is amazing. Cameron Murray, in my opinion, is probably the best 13. Their bench rotation, I love it. Havili is a big loss though, but for me, the Rabbitohs, if Latrell stays fit and healthy, fuck you, Bob. I'm sorry. If Latrell stays fit and healthy, this Rabbitohs team can honestly go on and win the comp. Campbell Graham's an underrated part of the success. Tiny Mills there as well. And then, what's that center from, what's his name? Debuted this year?
Isaiah Tass?
Isaiah Tass, the one that came from Brisbane Bulldogs. Yeah, I reckon he's going to have a great future. Could be a smoking for Queensland. Probably not this year, but they've got a lot of talent out of the Rabbitohs. With Latrell Mitchell being there, and we saw what they did last year. They're hard to beat us.
Well said, Faraz. Very well said. As we have a nice little picture of Faraz in a Rabbitohs supporting his team the only way he knows how. Now in second position, this is tough, man. The two teams I have left, in case you boys haven't noticed, Cowboys and Roosters. I have switched this over. I've switched this over 10 times in my ladder prediction. Like this whole over this video, I've switched it over 10 times, and I'm still undecided. But in second place for me, Sydney Roosters. And it was mainly based on something Faraz said. I had Roosters finalised at first, and then Faraz pointed out the fact that Brandon Smith is not an 80-minute hooker, and I remembered that. If they had Connor Watson, I think it'd be different, but I don't think Jake Turpin's the best player to be.
Yeah, and Kiri's going down a bit.
And Kiri's going down. It's still undecided where Joseph Suoliti will play this year, whether it will be wing or centre. Tedesco, obviously, he's been shit the last few years. So really, it's
what?
No. Obviously Tedesco, best fullback in the game, but no. Roosters second place. They could go first, and that wouldn't surprise me, honestly. But now we'll get to the minor premiers for each person. Davos, who have you got in first place?
I've got the Sydney Roosters in first place. The reason I've got them in first place is because their back line is just absolutely terrific. Joey Manu, James Tedesco, Joseph Suwali, Momirovski, Joseph Manu. They've got a terrific forward pack. My favourite player, Lindsay Collins, JWH, Brendan Smith, Butcher, Angus Crichton. I can name them all. They're just a terrific team. in general, and there's barely any weaknesses there. So yeah.
Okay, so you have the Roosters first place.
Yep.
That is a pretty bold call. Not really. I think most people have them first place. And although Lachlan isn't here right now, I can confirm he did have Roosters first place. And that's the only part of his team list. Only part of his ladder predictions that I actually knew. So
also, Cowboys missing the 8. For him, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it, bro. Stop it.
So that was Roosters at first place for Dalos. Now, Faraz, who was it that you had in first place? I think I know, but
I've got the Penrith boys up there. I think that stop my with Appy,
go ahead.
Appy's a huge loss. But hear me out. I still feel that Penrith, they've won every competition. They've won the Jersey flag. They've won the NRL. They've won the New South Wales Cup. They've won everything. Their talent is exceptional. And my prediction is all that I don't think Panthers will win the competition this year, but I still think they have enough talent to be first. But I reckon where they will miss out these finals. But they've barely got any weakness. And they still got kick out for they haven't got kick out for this year, but they still got Dylan Edwards. They've got all these players. You got clearly the best halfback, Luai. As much as people love to shit on him, he's a wanker, but he's still a top 3 fighter in my opinion. The centers are amazing. Love the young talent there.
That's very good. And in first place for me, I've even got a couple of pictures of Faraz to accompany it. I've got the North Queensland Cowboys. I reckon I have family who go for them, so it could be slightly biased. But so that's the Cowboys logo here, and we have a nice couple pictures of Faraz.
Oh my god!
And not one in a Cowboys beanie as well. So yeah, they're just. I reckon they'll go well this year. I don't really see many weaknesses in their team, like Faraz said. They've got their centers, Hiku and Holmes, absolute gun centers. They've got fucking Scotty Drinkwater at fullback. They got Kyle Felt and Murray Taulagi on the wings. I'll swear if I want to. They've got Tom Dearden, an Origin debutant from last year, and Chad Townsend in the halves. They've got a fucking front row of in the front row. It's
Lee Martin. What's his name? Spencer Leniu.
That's the Panthers, mate. No, sorry for Cowboys. I think in the front row they've got I can't remember Jordan McLean. Yeah, and
Cotter?
they've got
Raven Cotter.
Yeah, Cotter as well in the front row. Taumalolo at lock. They've got second rows of Nanai and Lukey and a great bench. And they didn't really lose too many players other than Cohen Hess on the bench as well. They lost Hamiso and Gilbert, but honestly, when you look at the team they have,
Drinkwater was exceptional.
And they get Tamo back as well. I can he'll improve at the Cowboys. So yeah, that's why for me the Cowboys finishing in first position. And it's absolutely, I love to see it. But now, before we end off, we're going to quickly go over to a tier ranking list. I'll share my screen. So, if you boys still have handy where you placed each team, like if you wrote down somewhere, that way we can sort of calculate our overall.
I deleted my list. No.
Oh my god.
Okay. Broncos. We'll start with Broncos. I know Faraz had them 9th. I had them 7th.
I reckon go 5th to 8th. But go 5th to 8th, I reckon.
Yeah, 5th to 8th.
Yeah. So I think they'll finish up 8th. I'll add more people in front.
Yeah.
But the Raiders, this was a tough one. I had them 14th.
I'm fine. I'm fine with the Raiders being like 9th to 12th. I'm fine with that. Honestly, you can put them anywhere.
5th to 8th, maybe.
But I reckon we put them 9th to 12th just because of the difference.
Because 2-1 counts. So yeah.
But I think it'll be 9th. Honestly, Bulldogs.
We
all had them 12th, I think.
Yeah, 9 to 10. Yeah, 10th. I was
somewhere near that, or 11th. I think you and Davis had them 11th. Cronulla Sharks. I think we all had them around 6th, 7th.
Yeah, Sharks. Sharks.
Davis had Sharks 5th. I had them 7th. I think you had them 6th, Noah.
Yeah, so they'll probably finish 6th in between. Redcliffe Dolphins. I think we all had them down here. None of us had them for the spoon. We might as well just get this out of the way.
Yeah,
because
Dragons.
we already knew that was going to happen. Gold Coast Titans, I think we all had them 12. We all had them exactly on 12. So, I think we all had them 12. Yeah, I had Bulldogs 11th. Fraz had them 11th. I think. So there. Manly Warringah Seagulls. I had them 15th. Davos had them 14th, I believe.
Yeah, Manly put him 13th.
So I think they'll probably end up finishing like 13th overall on this ladder.
Yeah.
Melbourne Storm, we all had them finishing 5th.
Yeah, I'm
well,
fine.
5th, and you had them 4th.
Yeah.
So they'll be at the top of that one. Newcastle Knights, I think we all had them around this area. But I think it was probably around the top of this area.
I had them around 11th, but I'm fine with them being 13th. So.
I had them 13th on the dot. I think for us, I had them like 15th or something. So I think that's the right spot. New Zealand Warriors, I had them finishing top 8.
Warriors are weird because you had them 8th, I had them 16th, and Fraz had them like 13th. So
yeah,
I
gotta find some
the best spot for them would be maybe we move Titans up 12th, Dogs 11th, Raiders 9th.
I'm fine. I'm fine with Warriors being like 13th. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with them.
Cowboys, you go second to first, I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, second
Cowboys.
to fourth.
Yeah, because you both had had Roosters minor premiers, I think. So, well, no, actually, no. For us, had Panthers. That's going to be a tough one. We'll get to that soon. Parramatta Eels. I think they'll just be around here.
Go behind the Broncos, I reckon. Panthers. I'm fine with either Panthers or Roosters being minor premiers because
I think Roosters just because we all had Roosters. Like, I had Panthers 4th. I had Roosters 2nd. Obviously, Davos, you had them 1st and Fraser 3rd. So I reckon 1st is the right spot for them.
Yeah.
South Sydney, I reckon there.
And
I think that means Tigers probably end up with probably the top of this.
Yeah, that's. I agree. I agree with all that basically. So,
well, I mean, I had Tigers 10th, but it gets to that point where added up, this is what we finished with. So the combined, the Final Siren podcast ladder ranking, as Fraz just had to leave us very quickly there, but combined it would be Roosters 1st, South Sydney 2nd, Panthers 3rd, Cowboys 4th, Storm 5th, Sharks 6th, Broncos 7th, Parramatta 8th, Raiders 9th, Bulldogs 10th, Titans 11th, Warriors 12th, Tigers 13th, Knights 14th, Manly 15th, Dolphins 16th, and the Wooden Spooners being the St. George Illawarra Dragons. So congratulations to the Roosters for being our tipped minor premiers for this season. When we added it all up. And thank you to everyone for watching this podcast. Make sure if you aren't already, go follow at the Final Siren podcast. I'll be updating you there on when we'll be posting. We're trying to post a lot more during this week. We'll go on a few days break now for Friday, Saturday, Sunday while the games are on. Monday, we'll try and come back with possibly some team season previews. And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what are our grand final predictions? Do you have anything in mind?
I'll save. I'm going to save my proper prediction for a video. But I reckon my minor premiers, the Cowboys make it. That's all I'm going to give away.
I reckon Roosters Rabbitohs, in my opinion.
That'll be a great
derby.
And but yeah, so that'll definitely be a separate video though. We've got so many videos planned. We've got season previews. We've got Dally M Team of the Year planned. Obviously, that's going to be a whole bunch of predictions to do with Dally M Rookie of the Year, Dally M Team of the Year, Dally M Player of the Year, Grand Final predictions, etc. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We appreciate all the support. Help us reach 200 subscribers. We'd love to do that before the start of the season. Obviously, it's probably not going to happen. But thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all the support, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Up the Eels.